Namaste and welcome again. So today I'm doing a little something different from the usual series of videos I've been doing, which was the sequence of learning and practicing Iyengar yoga for a beginner. I am actually outlining a sequence which Guruji has also mentioned in his book, Light on Life, and I would say it's a really very insightful, important, inspiring read for anyone interested in really going deeper into Iyengar yoga. And in that book, Guruji, at the end of the book, outlines a series of asanas which are helpful in developing emotional stability for a person if practiced regularly. So, of course, our daily lives create many stresses. It is very natural as we live through our day to feel irritable, distressed, anxious, overwhelmed, burdened with many duties, having to fulfill them, yet feeling the emotional and the physical stress that accumulates within our systems. And often it is very difficult to find a real answer or a good relief. And these unresolved emotions, the tightnesses that we hold within our body, lead us to find remedies which are often harmful, and they kind of dull it. Like maybe I could give an example. Perhaps I'm really feeling stressed and anxious, and to avoid that feeling or to even look at it or process it, it could be very easy for me to just open the fridge and eat something which I love, which makes me feel instantly good, because then I don't have to look at that emotion which was bothering me. Or perhaps even I feel emotionally quite drained and unhappy, and I just keep looking at binge watch, say, a whole Netflix series. Actually, I don't watch TV or Netflix at all, which is probably not very encouraging. I don't have that subscription. And but binge watch a series simply because it takes me out of my own pains and context. And for a while, I can just ride the emotional storylines of another fictional character, and then I feel better. But then I've never really processed my emotions. So I would say a perhaps healthier, more nourishing remedy for dealing with your stresses, and something which I think would also help you to build an inner quality of resilience, build a capacity to feel into yourself better, to recognize that I'm beginning to feel a little tense. Perhaps this is my time to create some boundaries in my life, or this is my time to go give myself some self-care before I go in and do something else. And this self-regulating habit is a much more valuable habit to build. And therefore, I offer this sequence to you. It is not my sequence, of course. It is Guruji's sequence. What I am doing again here is just setting up the postures so that you have a way to see how to set it up, right? I'm not going to hold the pose that long, because often a lot of these postures are meant to be held based on your timing. So in that sense, this video is a little different. It is not a guided class per se, but I will pick up each posture. I will show the setup so that you know how to set it up on your own. And then perhaps point out a few things to watch out for to know that, okay, this feels right. Because since this is a video, if you had a teacher guiding you, then of course, they could tell you or come in and adjust you accordingly. But since this is a video, this is more like, okay, you pause the video, you look at the first one, say, which is the first posture's Adho Mukha Svanasana with the head supported. So you look at that video, you study it a little bit, and then you put a pause, you set it up, you try and practice it, see how it feels. And then maybe like that, you start to learn the whole sequence. And then as you get familiar with it, one day you don't need to refer to the video, right? You can even memorize the sequence. You can say, oh, I want to just do 3 or 4 asanas on my own. So this is more a learning guide and not a guided class. So I hope that makes it more clear as to the intention of the video. So let's get started. I placed 2 blocks and a bolster, and I placed it against a wall, simply because I want my hands to be supported so that I don't have to work too hard in the pose, and I can be in the pose a little longer. So in terms of placement of hand, if you see my index finger and thumb, I place it into the wall like this, and I walk away. And as I walk away, I make sure my legs are spread enough. Even go as wide as your sticky mat if you want to. Push the wall away. So that pushing action helps you to feel that lift. Lift your elbow, lift your upper arm, and then move your outer hips back. So you're more on the legs. And then as you are, you gently let your head rest. And in this case, my head is dropping. But what you don't want, and I need to show you this, is you don't want your elbows to drop and you don't want to crush into the support of the bolster. Instead, you want to keep the lifting. You want to move the weight back to the legs, but you want your head to rest. Yeah, so you can notice how my head is resting, but my shoulders are lifting, my legs are lifting, my elbows are lifting. So there's action involved. My legs are firm, but my head is resting, neck is soft, face is soft. And you can stay in this pose as long as you wish. If you're a beginner and you find it difficult to sustain it, maybe come down a short while and repeat again. Now, supposing the bolster height is not enough and you find that your head is not reaching, it's also okay to immediately come up and add another blanket. So I use the blanket. So this is a process of adjustment. It's not one size fits all. It's like understanding that what is it that I need for myself so that I can get a better extension of my spine, a support of my legs, and then my head rests. So actually in my body as well, I feel this setup is more nourishing for me because I can let my head rest. My neck is soft, my throat is soft, my elbows are firm, my thighs are going back, and I keep shifting the weight on the heels. And you can refer to the PDF to note how long you can keep this pose. Now, I'm going to come out of the pose, so I lift my head up, I lower my knees down, and then I sit back. So the next pose is UTTANASANA with the head relaxed, the shoulders supported. So you might have 2 similar chairs in your house, right? Usually 2 dining chairs. So in this case, you don't even need a yoga chair. So in that case, when you don't need a yoga chair, what I've done is you can see how I'm facing the 2 chairs. If you have extra blankets, you can use this. So here, so you can watch me, I come close, UTTANASANA. I have placed the chairs purposely on the floor because I want to be able to pull them back and forth. If they're in the sticky mat, they will get stuck. So I come forward. So this depends on how far you can bend forward. And if you find perhaps you're somebody who cannot bend past this point, you just need to make sure you raise your shoulders by putting a few more supports, yeah? So I will show perhaps the side view also so it's clear, but let's see how we get into it. So I come forward, I go forward, and I actually take my arms, so the shoulders, so I let my head, I move this out, yeah, so that I can roll forward. And then when I'm here, I pull the shoulders in. So my shoulders, they need to spread, of course, and my arms can rest, and then my head can release. Yeah, so then there is a support. If I feel I need to pull them in, I can do that, and my head remains supported, and I let go. So you may allow your head to drop. Keep your upper arms, your elbows supported, and be here quiet in the pose. Soft, smooth inhale, and soft, smooth exhale. Let your abdomen be soft. The only thing I would advise you to work on is, though you have the chair support, don't completely shift your weight to the
shoulders. Please keep your weight on the heels, because if you keep working your legs, especially pulling up your thigh muscles, you'll be able to release your neck down and keep that softness that can happen in the pose. So again, this is very quietening for the body, and you can suddenly feel any tension that you're holding in the shoulders start to really release. And the head is dropping away from the shoulders, and the shoulders are being supported. And again, staying quiet for a few moments, breathing in and breathing out. Again, if you feel insecure, you can also have your arms a little bit wider. Remember to keep your shoulders away. Don't move them towards your head, so your head is not shrinking away. If you are letting your head drop, you can pull it closer to feel more supported. So the back of the head releases down, and your arms and shoulders supported. Then to come out, if you slide your chairs out, and you can come up and come upward. So what I meant was somebody say they cannot bend beyond this, right? So I can actually show you by placing 2 more bolsters. And so that way, first I let my head go down, then I pull it in, and I have a bit more support. Yeah, so you are allowing, but you have to pull this in. So actually, I will make an adjustment. You have to pull these in more so that when you go down, you really feel your shoulders are supported, and then your head can release. Yeah, so it's a big difference when your shoulders are supported. So really make sure your head is free, and it takes a little adjustment. That's why coming to a class, learning it yourself is better. But again, if you don't have that opportunity, maybe just pausing, as I said, learning to understand the pose, trying it a few times, and then you'll find the sweet spot. And a little bit of self-study, not having everything spoon-fed, but learning to experiment a bit is also part of our learning journey. Now slowly come up and take the support out. So that was the second pose. That was Uttanasana, supported. The next pose in the sequence is rope SHIRSASANA. Now, of course, if you don't have ropes in the house and you haven't, the fact that you have ropes in the house means you are an Iyengar yoga practitioner. Otherwise, you wouldn't have installed them. So considering that, then you would not be a person who doesn't know how to use the ropes. So this is not a video to actually teach you to use ropes. For that, you need to be in person with the teacher. I would advise that. But however, if you are an Iyengar yoga practitioner and you have ropes, then you know how to set yourself up to go for rope SHIRSASANA. Now, if you're not an Iyengar yoga practitioner, you don't have ropes, then you could do SHIRSASANA. If you know how to do it, hold it for a shorter period of time, perhaps with your legs against the wall, or don't do it. If it doesn't appeal to you, there are other poses in the sequence that you can progress to. I have tied up the ropes the way it is. I'll just demo the way to go up, which is helpful so it doesn't cut into my thighs. So I take a blanket, which is, and I use it kind of like a skirt. So I feel a little bit, and you can see how I go up. So I put the belt. I've already looped the rope. I place it close to my buttocks, my sacrum. I lean back. I see that it's secure. Then I hold the taller ropes. I put my feet against the wall, my legs in Dandasana, and I reach up high on the ropes and really lift my chest. So I feel this lift already. Now maintaining this, I start to bend my legs. I perhaps hold my skirt a little bit, bend my legs, take my knees out on either side. So the blanket is basically helping me so the ropes don't cut into my groin. And then I go from here, and then I let my arms go down and head go down. And then I release into the rope. The actions here, though, you have to place the rope correctly So your sacrum keeps extending and not dropping down to your lumbar. And in terms of your arm action, if, like for me, the height of the rope helps me to keep my elbows there. So there's a little support and I can let my head release. If you need an additional support for your head, you can also put a blanket. Otherwise, you can be here in this pose. Again, if you are someone, as I said, who's got ropes in the house, you have probably practiced with ropes. So you should be confident enough to do it. Or if you're doing it with me in a class, then it's there. Another thing is sometimes when we are in rope Shirshasana, it's also good to have your hands in Shirshasana 2 position. You bring your elbows in, you keep your shoulders lifting, so your shoulders and things don't go into your head. It then puts too much pressure on the head. The blood rushes deeply. So you want to keep the hands pressing, the shoulders lifting, the elbows coming in. So the head, the neck is releasing, but the shoulders continue to lift. And this is much better in terms of holding the pose. And you can let go everywhere. Yeah, so you can let go, but you keep the elbows moving to the shoulders, the shoulder blades moving into the back, the head releasing down. Press your hands into the support of the floor. Again, you're staying as long as you wish and make sure everything is in alignment. And then to come up, you look up, you hold your ropes, and you press away and stay here for a while. Yeah, because when we've been in this position, you stay here for a while, and then you can slide down. And even here, as you let everything drop, you can just let your forehead rest. Because it's different from normal Shirshasana. There too, we rest the head. And since in a supported pose, we elongate and can stay longer, it's important to stabilize yourself before you come out of it. Now inhale and come up. And that was rope Shirshasana. So the next setup is for Dvipada, Viparita, Dandasana, supported. So 2 yoga chairs is necessary for this. I put a bolster and whatever height is required. So this depends a lot on how your back and your chest behaves. Again, these are quite specific. You need to work and understand your own body, know what the principles are, and use your props accordingly. So it's not like, oh, I will need 1 blanket, 1 bolster. No, the height of the bolster is based on how your shoulders go back, how's the position of the head. Some people might need less, some people might need more. So it's a very adjustive process. And what is important for you to watch for is to see, are these basic actions happening? And I can only show you the general shape of the pose that is more beneficial, but you have to work and adjust to make it feel that there's no stress in your back in any way. Also, these poses, if you have any back problem, any neck cervical problem, need some more specialized care. So so I would advise you, please proceed with caution. This is a guide, perhaps more for practitioners of Iyengar yoga who know the practice a little bit themselves. So I'm going to go into the support. I sit on the chair. I have 2 chairs, so I can put my legs here. And it's actually easier because I can slide. And then because my feet are grounded, I find it easier to do that and safer. I'm holding the top part of the chair, keep my elbows broad so my chest has more spread. And then I slide a little bit more. So my buttocks are rested. So I let my head hang a little so I feel a bit secure. And then I press my heels and I start to use my hands like this to push. So I push so that I can find the bottom tips of my shoulder blades first, right? So when I do that, I dig my heels, I extend my tailbone. So my lower back is not jamming. I let my head go back. I keep pushing. And as I go back now, my head. Now you notice it's a bit like Shirshasana. It's not, it's a crown of the head, which is here. You don't want to be in this position, yeah? So it closes your throat. So you go to the crown of your head. And then you hold the chair a little and you stretch your legs. And you can still work on this area, meaning
I can spread my shoulders, I can move my shoulders towards the elbows, and I can use the hands to grip back into the elbows. So one line goes from the wrist to the elbows and one to the shoulder. So if I pull both, then I can move my shoulder blades in and let my head rest. Yeah, so this is one option. You can continue holding here, let your head rest, and relax your legs. Now, position of thighs is important. If you feel your thighs are up, that means you need to position yourself in a way that your thighs are able to descend down and your tailbone stays in. This is important. So you can stay either in this version, or if you want, you can take your arms and just rest them. Yeah, so you let them rest and you stay in the pose. In this pose, we don't work too much. You let the props do the work. Another alternative is you can also have your hands like you would in SHIRSASANA. This is actually the full classic VIPARITA DANDASANA. And so that way we let the head rest, stretching the armpits, and then we stay in the pose. Face quiet, resting and receiving the pose. The armpits stay open, the chest stays open, yet the legs remain active. Now to come out, you first take your hands high, hold the back bar of the chair, bend your legs, slide a little in, and then you can press your elbows and then come up. Yeah, and then you can sit back and just let your head rest. So the next asana is chair sarvangasana. You'll need a chair. I also put a sticky mat because it helps me to kind of slide down in a way that I get stuck because I want my buttocks and my tailbone to be supported. I use a bolster and a blanket so my head is not on a sticky mat. Once again, you will have to do some adjustments based on your body to see what suits you right? So I sit down, I place my legs high up on the chair, I move my buttock in. Again, I hold the chair firmly, I move my shoulders in, and since I've done VIPARITA DANDASANA before, I press here and I allow my head to go down. And I keep going down till my head touches. So then I think, okay, I've got my head touching. Then after my head is touching, I can learn to push away and I start looking down, opening my chest and dropping down till my shoulder is fixed. We want to be on the top of the shoulder. Then I can do another adjustment. I can hold the chair to really emphasize the outer shoulders. Of course, you can adjust, you can hold, like my hands can reach, but sometimes we cannot reach. So I can hold the back end of the chair, I can roll, come to the top of the shoulders. Now, what is important here to watch is what's going on here. If you collapse, after a while, you will slide off because the top shoulder is coming out. So we have to really hold the chair in such a way, however it is, to see you can get your outer shoulder fixed on the bolster. And when you hold the chair legs, you also want to see that by fixing your shoulders, you're able to move these shoulder blades in, because this is what creates the better effect in the pose. Also, you don't want your lumbar collapsing. So we need to maybe even do this small pose, like you hold the chair, you've got your shoulders fixed, you press your heels, you elongate your tailbone, and you see that it's well fixed, and then you stretch your legs. Yeah, so then you can relax. But the key parts are, you want the shoulder to be fixed on the bolster, your throat, your neck should be soft. In fact, you have to consciously let it go. So after I've fixed my position, my tailbone is stuck. That's why I use the sticky mat so my buttocks don't slide. I keep my legs resting. I can let go and be in the pose a little bit. And be quiet. If after a point you realize, actually my shoulders are okay, they are fixed, and I can be like this because my shoulders are fixed, you can also be here. But if you find yourself sliding, it's okay to continue holding. So you can be quiet in the pose. Very important, you let go of your tension in the face.
Back of the neck soft, throat soft, buttocks in, legs resting on the chair. Remember, we are doing this sequence not to perform, to do any kind of pose, because doing a pose is not being in an asana. An asana is thira and sukham. That means steady and pleasant. Sukha means pleasant, good. Sukha means goodness. That which doesn't cause pain, as in dukkha. And again, if you find your legs are a little tired after a while, you can also be a little bit in BADDHAKONASANA, taking a break. But then again, this is more for SARVANGASANAs. We stay here. And then you can come down. I show the coming down. You press your feet. You don't put your feet down actually. Slide down from here. Hold the chair a little bit till your bottom lands on the bolster. And then be there quiet. Then step by step. So keep sliding back. So you put your bottom down. You let the body rest. So your lower back is rested. You're quiet for a few moments. Then you gently roll to your side and come up. Yeah, so again, going up into the pose, being in the pose, coming out of the pose, all quite conscious, all quite mindful. The next asana is NIRALAMBA SARVANGASANA. NIRALAMBA means, if you actually know SARVANGASANA, it's Salamba SARVANGASANA is the name of the pose. Salamba means using a support. And what support will we be using? The support that means your hands are supporting your back. That is Salamba Sarvangasana. Or we did chair Sarvangasana, where we use the chair as our support in the previous pose. Now, when we say Niralamba Sarvangasana, means you are just on your shoulders. You're not using your hands to support your back. You're just resting on it and you're lifting your whole upper body up. So ideally, I don't have a wall, and just the constraints of my room and having the camera the way it is, you have to use your little bit of imagination, and you think my edge of this counter, which actually overlooks my kitchen since I do this in my house, this edge is actually, you have to think of it like a solid wall. Yeah, but I will be able to explain it to you. But I want you to realize that you don't want to be against a wall which is half, be against a wall that is full. But just for the purposes of you to understand, because if I showed you this way, you would not be understanding. I'm setting this up in this dimension. Right. So a few things to note. I have purposely not placed my chair on a sticky mat. It's on the floor so that I can move it around, and I'll explain it when I'm coming out of the pose. Once more, I put a sticky mat because sliding is easier. In the previous pose, you saw that. I placed my bolster as needed, and I have kept a little gap from the wall. I'm assuming the size of my head, yeah, so this much, is kind of here. Yeah, so this is my head. And there is a little gap, right? So that means there's a wall, it's a blanket because I don't want my head on a hard floor, and there's still a gap. I wouldn't make this bolster be here. Yeah, so you assume, you use some imagination. See, my big head is stuck here as I'm in Sarvangasana, and a little gap is left, so my head doesn't crash into the wall. Yeah, so now let me show you how you get into it. So once more, you sit sideways, which we always do. You put your legs up, you hold the chair, you shuffle in, you let your head go down, and you start pushing till you feel your head touch the bolster. Then you can start looking down so the chest opens, and I adjust my hair, and I'm down here. I can always slide my bolster. So since it's not on a sticky mat, I can adjust. I can see my neck is really free. My head is supported, and already it feels my shoulders are well placed. If I found myself slipping down, I would definitely come up and reset myself. So again, I move down. Now I feel okay.
my shoulder is really resting. I even adjust it to make sure it's quite secure. And then what you have to do is you have to start taking your legs up, and you have to imagine that this is a hollow support, but it's a wall, and you let your toes press into the wall. So the feet are supported, right? And it's almost like here I've taken my shins in. So when I have the support, I can actually let go. Yeah, because my legs are resting. So I can settle into the pose, and this is really very relaxing for the body. Shoulders are down, your face is relaxed, your neck and shoulders consciously soften. The only work you have to do is really slightly keep the tailbone lifted. Don't let it drop like this, yeah? So you stretch you can press the tops of the toes on the wall that you're on and let go. And stay as long as you feel comfortable. We are not holding the poses that long, so this is just a demo, as I've already explained in the introduction of the video. So I'm going to show you how to come down. Reason I kept the chair, so I reach back, I hold the legs of the chair, then I slowly slide my feet down, maybe even bend my knees a little, so I feel I have the chair, because the chair didn't move. Then I go back, I place my feet, and because I want to go down, and there's no way I can go down, that's why I keep my chair on the floor. So as I keep pushing, I can slide the chair, and then I can slowly come down. Yeah, so that's why the way we set up helps. And then you can rest a little bit, and then same way, roll to the side and come up. And so the next asana is supported halasana. I've used a bolster, the chair, a sticky mat, a blanket, another blanket, which is set up for the head, and another bolster. So I will explain why the setup is as I go into it. So same as before, you sit down, you sit here. I have the bolster, so I can sit with my legs apart. I have my bolster on the support, bottom on the bolster, and I go in. So my shoulders are still in. I lift the back of my head. I really create some space, and I keep this long. And then I place, and especially now I have my hairband, so I make sure I move it away so it doesn't catch me, especially when I'm here. So take your time to really see that the back of your neck is supported and you feel your shoulders are in. Now, this bit is a little hard, okay? Meaning a lot of people, maybe because of lack of core strength or anything, find it difficult to lift and go up. But if you practice or you have another friend who can help you, then maybe it is useful. So you press your hands down, you lift your knees up, and you press and you lift up. Yeah, so at least it helps you. Then once your legs are up, you can walk your legs in, hold your bolster, really relax here, and you can let your thighs rest. The more the thighs rest, the more the back of the body opens. Your legs are loose, and my legs are a little bit going down, and I'm supported here. I go to the root of my thighs, I relax my neck and shoulders. Again, I slightly slide it because it's not on a sticky mat, so I can move things around. And I stay quiet. I take my hands out, my elbows, shoulder. So I'm still able to do this. Yeah, this is the work. If you sink, you put a little pressure on your neck. But by pressing the shoulders, softening your neck, this part of the spine still continues to lift. But the thighs rest. And then you can stay in the pose. So there's a movement this direction. But throat soft. Of course, like if you feel any tension, you adjust. And then again, settling means every part of your face has to soften, shoulders relaxed. Again, if you have any neck issue or anything, please don't try it on your own. Work under the guidance of a practiced Iyengar teacher, and maybe they will think it's suitable for you or this asana is not for you. But if you're able to do it, then this is the way we do supported halasana, chair halasana. Now, how to come out? You can move your legs a little bit in. You can hold the chair. You can hold your hands, slowly come up. Try to come up a little bit with good control. So your head, neck, shoulders are fine. And you again rest like this. Take a couple of breaths. And then you can roll yourself to the side and come up. Yeah, so that was chair halasana. Next is Setubandha Sarvangasana. In the sequence, it is on a Setubandha bench. I don't have a bench, and this is another way to do it. There's a bolster. I've used 2 bolsters. Again, this is going to be a very restful version because something you can stay in longer. Again, I will show you how to get into it. You will sit on the bolster and you have your feet a little bit apart. So your knees are bent. You go forward with your buttocks and you slowly go down because you really want to use your hands. You see, I'm using my hands to go down nice and slow. So my whole back is resting. And now when I go downward, I actually have to press a little bit here because I want to keep contact with this. I press my feet. I hold the side edges of the mat. So I slide down. As you can see, I'm trying to really scrape the same opening of the chest here. So the edge of my bolster needs to give me the lift of the side chest, the outer shoulder blades moving in as I slowly, bottom outer shoulder blades as I go down. Yeah, so I want this not to sink. So I want this opening, a kind of circular action. Then again, I roll the outer shoulders. I keep enough gap between my chest and the upper arms. Shoulder blades stay in, outer shoulders go down. Lift my head if I need more. So my shoulders are dropping. But this back ribs are supported. Then once I've got this connection, I stretch my legs so my legs can rest. And then I stay in the pose. If you find it's also good, sometimes you can tie up your legs. You can just press your frontal thighs downward. So it quietens the brain and it really opens the frontal abdominal area. This keeps the chest open and you can stay quite a long time being in Setubandha Sarvangasana. And then there's a great Iyengar yoga prop, and I think you can get a lot of these props from Yogi Kuti, and I'll put it on the notes. You can always order your props from Yogi Kuti, and I am not affiliated to them at all, but they are really very good. And so if you're looking for props, and they deliver everywhere, all over the world. So it's a good place to get props from. I often get my props from there too. So I pull the shoulders down, move the back ribs in, and same way I stay. And this is really calming and resting. And if you don't have time, even just doing Setubandha or the pose that will come after, which is Viparita KARANI, 1 or 2 poses can reset you and calm you down and make it much more clear where the waves of emotion or the waves of stress seem to subside. And then when that is the case, then we can actually see clearer into what is happening rather than have a very cloudy view based on the emotional upheavals we are experiencing. Again, to come out, you bend your knees. Best way is always to slide back. So make sure you have some room behind you. And you can even just rest like this for a while. I feel just relaxed doing it even for a few moments. Viparita KARANI. I've used 2 bolsters because it gives a little bit more height. You will again need a wall. It can be a flat wall. I'm just using this for the camera. So I've placed the bolster next to the wall and I take another bolster. However, I'm trying to keep a gap. Yeah, so there's a little bit of gap here on the bolster and I make sure I have enough blankets here. Now, getting into it is sometimes a little bit tricky, but if you sit sideways and you learn to lift your legs up, it's possible. So I really sit sideways and I stick my buttocks. So I even go a little bit this way. So I really see that my buttock is really stuck, right? And then I use my elbows, and then I really turn slowly and I come up. So because it's very easy for us to slide. Now, why there is a little bit, if you can see here, because in this pose, the sacrum has to rest on the bolster, the groins drop down slightly, and the height is to give a good opening of your dorsal spine. So this part of the chest shouldn't sink, like this is sinking chest, right? So this is not a sinking chest. My side of the leg, armpits are open. Then I can rest my legs on the wall. Your legs don't have to touch the wall, especially if your hamstrings are tight. They can be straight and you can just stay here. What you want to see is that your groins keep dropping, your sacrum is supported, and this back rib is in, armpit, chest is open, and you can rest in the pose. Usually it's a very relaxing pose, and I think most people like to stay in it once you've got the right feel of the pose. So as you can see, my sacrum is resting, my groins are dropping, legs are supported against the wall, chest is open, side armpit chest is open, arms relaxed, and let go. Again, you can stay as long as you wish in the pose. Normal soft inhale and normal soft exhale. And there are many variations of doing Viparit Karani. If you do a little Google search, I'm sure you'll find many teachers who've explained Viparit Karani with chairs, different ways. So again, this is a sequence, a guideline of postures. I'm just showing you one way. Iyengar yoga is that way, very creative, and it is inclusive. It takes in many ways that you can do the same pose. But the actions remain the same. The groins drop a little bit down. Your abdomen should feel very soft and relaxed. Sacrum supported. Side chest open. Head, neck, shoulders completely relaxed. Because this is to quieten our nervous system, to really center in and get energy which is quiet, nourishing, sustainable. What would you call it? Clean energy. Clean energy that doesn't cause any carbon footprint. Now, this is really interesting, isn't it? That you can have your own energy, which is much more sustainable and actually gets better the more you practice. So renewable as well. Wow. And then I'll just quickly show you how to come down. You first take your legs down. You let your legs rest maybe a little bit in this position. Take a couple of breaths. And then when you want to come down, you can hold the bolster and again keep sliding back. And this, because I've kept it on a slippery surface, sliding back is easy, right? So again, these small things, they're quite intentional, like not having it on us, it helps. And then you let your legs rest, and you can rest here in this pose a little bit. And then finally, you can roll to the side as always and come out. Okay, so that was Viparit Karani with legs up on the wall. Paschimottanasana with the head supported. You can use as much height as you need to sit. You can use a bolster. I am sitting on a blanket and I keep the bolster for my head. So my legs are straight and I place the bolster in front. And again, what's important here is if you really round in like this, and especially for someone who cannot bend forward, then the pose really doesn't happen, right? The quietening doesn't happen. So if your back is stiffer, your hamstrings are tighter, it is okay to adjust your support. So the back of the body moves in, the front of the body is free. Yeah, so there is more restfulness here. You can even have your arms over, so your elbows are supported. So this is one option if you're a little tighter in the back, but your head is resting. If you have a little bit more mobility and you can go forward, you can shift your bolster forward. You can even add an extra blanket. Lifting your chest, you go forward, keep the extension, and then same way, your forehead is resting and you stay quiet in the pose. Yeah, so the back is spreading. It's nice to use the bolster like this because then the whole back of the body is spreading.
same thing. If you find your head is way below your shoulders, you need more height. Yeah, so the back of the head, the shoulders, this should be quite a smooth support. Yeah, so this should feel relaxed, spreading, no hardness, barely soft, no pressure. If you feel, please even use a chair perhaps. So your head is resting on a higher surface. Yeah, so if you imagine I placed a yoga chair here and my head was relaxed. Back of the head, shoulder more in line rather than dropping like this. Your sternum should stay open. So again, you can just stay in supported Paschimottanasana, going forward with your spine, not receding back. Yeah, but resting. And now slowly lift your head up and come up. UPAVISTA KONASANA. So this is a little bit more active, but after having done the previous sequence, we are moving ahead. So you again sitting here, you take the height that's needed, your toes are pointing up, you lift your chest, and if you can go forward, you can use a belt or hold on to your big toes. And it's a question of really opening the groins, pressing down, rolling your thighs inward, keeping the little toe side up and lifting the chest, keeping the back ribs in and lifting the whole sternum up, right? So it kind of enlivens you. So we've been doing poses which were kind of quietening, but you're also spreading the chest here. So a lot of the times when we get tight in our energy system, we grip in the groins, we grip in the chest. So after having done the previous postures, we are feeling a bit more open. To emphasize that feeling of openness, the groins are open now. So you can press down, you can lift the abdomen. And when we use the grip here, so again, if you find your chest is closing, please use a belt, right? Because you want to be able to hold in such a way so there's a broadening of the chest. You're spreading your chest, you're spreading your sternum, you're letting the groins relax, and you're able to come back to a more centered space. So through all the, sort of the imprints of the day, which makes us close. And now after having done the previous asanas, you are able to kind of reopen again. So you're coming back into this centered space where you're able to open up, feel the rootedness of the legs, the openness of the groins, feel that the side chest is lifting, the front of the diaphragm is open, the side is open, the back is open, the chest is open, and you're able to lift your whole spine upward, keeping the shoulders down. So kind of coming into a sense of embodied openness. And yet grounded because we are on the floor. So that is UPAVISTA KONASANA. Next, from there directly, you can go to BADDHAKONASANA. So I will move directly into that. So you can bend your knees and you can pull the feet in. And again, you can hold here. You can use the grip of your hands to keep the feet slightly lifted, but push the feet into the hands. Take the shoulders back, moving the back ribs in, lifting the crown of the head, pulling the shoulders down. And again, opening up, lifting upward, finding a sense of stability. Seated poses are stabilizing, yet the spine is upright, chest open, taking a deeper breath into the center of the chest. BADDHAKONASANA. Now from there, again, you can follow the sequence to actually check for timings, and more than anything, the timing is a guidance. This is a practice which I would encourage you to do on your own and try and see what brings that sense of ease in you. And it's only in trying the medicine, not looking at the prescription, that has any effect.
And until you repeat it, kind of like a dose being repeated, you also will not feel the benefit. SUPTA Virasana. There's a blanket, a bolster, and a folded blanket for the head. So I come into a kneeling position. If some of you are unable to do Virasana, of course, this pose is not for you. Maybe you can do a variation with just the legs in a simple Sukhasana. This is also good. But if you can do Virasana with no problem, then you sit with your knees bent. Elongate your sacrum. So you move and you use your hands a little bit, carefully layering yourself down on the bolster. Lift your head up again. Pull the connection of the blanket all the way to the base of your neck, but your shoulders are free. And here you can actually take your arms over your head. And I have actually placed this blanket more wide so that when I take my arms can go down a little bit more. And then I can grab and hold them. So it allows my shoulders to go back, my elbows to stay supported. And then I can be here in the pose as long as I wish, based on how it feels. SUPTA Virasana. And though it's not in the sequence, I assume it should be also okay if you are unable to do this, but this portion of the pose feels good, to perhaps change your legs into a simple cross leg. It might not have the same effect of the stretch of the thighs. However, you will still get the benefit of the chest opening. And again, you may rest in the pose as long as you're comfortable. And here, for now, I'm coming out. So I uncross my legs, I roll to my side, and come up. The last two asanas in the sequence, one is Viloma Pranayama. I am not going to explain pranayama in detail, and for that you might perhaps practice a pranayama class with a certified Iyengar yoga teacher. So I will keep this part simple because I see this is a video which is going out to most people. So if you know Viloma Pranayama, you can definitely practice this either seated on a chair, seated on a bolster, or upright. I will just show a version, a little bit restful, so that from there directly you can go to Salamba Shavasana. That means the Shavasana is supported. You can use a bolster. If you have any lower back issue, you can reduce the height and maybe just have a blanket. You can have a folded blanket one more time like this. So in Viloma, I just explain it a little bit so that when I'm lying down and doing the breath, you can do it. And again, if you feel anxious or especially working with the breath is a little deeper work. So skip Viloma if you've never done it before. Just enjoy resting in Shavasana. But just to explain, we use the exhalation aspect of Viloma for quietening because this exhalation response is a way to relax ourselves because it's the gripping, right? It's the gripping, holding the breath. And then because we are holding the breath, we cannot fully release and then we cannot let the breath come in. So this flow of energy, letting go, letting in, this has to be that spontaneous movement. And when we are energetically stressed, it is natural for our breath to get stressed. So by forcing ourselves to exhale in a graduated way, we are releasing ourselves. So what would Viloma be? Viloma is like, it's like combing, yeah, combing tight hair, like combing the breath. So the loma, the lines in a way, like hair, loma. So loma is hair. So combing hair in a sense that you go in a graduated way. So I just show you upright. So if I just take a normal inhale and I breathe out, maybe in 2 or 3 steps. So if I inhale
pause, pause. And then I let my breath just come in. Yeah, so it's not like you're taking any deeper breaths, no forcing. It's very soft. I'll show it while I'm lying down. So the support really helps in opening the chest. It relaxes our system as well. So you lie down, you place your bottom here, you make sure your sacrum is lifted, you lift your head up, you bring your blanket close to the sides of the neck, you open your chest. The sunlight is quite sharp now, but I guess you can see clearer. I look down, I see I'm well placed. I mean, it requires a completely whole new set of videos to do pranayama. So I'm not giving you any pranayama tips here, just an overview of the whole sequence. So I relax my legs and I let go. And as I said, one option, you just stay quiet here and don't do anything. If you want to work a little bit in Viloma, you can just do it for a few moments. You can simply breathe naturally. And when you breathe out, like punctuation, the whole breath, not going out in one go, like if I did one, that's one go, right? Instead, I just do a simple breathe in and I let it out in the same exhalation. I just let it out in 2 or 3 packets. What causes no stress. So I do one more and then I breathe out. And then I let my breath flow in. So please don't be hard and forceful in this pranayama practice. Just do what feels right. And if you feel any tension, don't do it. You can simply rest in this position of Shavasana. Face quiet, throat soft, shoulders relaxed. And then as always, when you're ready, you bring your hands at the abdomen, you bend your knees, you turn yourself to one side, and then slowly come up. Thank you for watching, as always. And if you have any further suggestions on what kind of videos you'd like me to create, and any things that you find which you don't like, please feel free to comment on the comment section below. And I started this kind of YouTube journey of posting regularly last year in I think the end of July, and I feel quite grateful that I even have some viewers. So I hope to keep continuing to put up resources which might help you to integrate Iyengar yoga in your life. Thank you.